Far-right news sources are going farther and farther right. This is a pretty shocking report. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Thom Hartmann here with you. Our entire media landscape, our entire media infrastructure has undergone some really significant changes over the last, in particular, the last 25 or 30 years. And not for the better, it appears. Jared Holt is on the line with us. He's an investigative journalist with Right Wing Watch, which is a project of People for the American Way, the organization that was founded by my old buddy Norman Lear, who is just one of the most extraordinary human beings I know. RightWingWatch.org is the website. Jared's Twitter handle is Jared Holt, H-O-L-T, or at Right Wing Watch. Jared, welcome to the program. Tell us about this post-millennial website. What the heck is this?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. I have been doing some investigating reporting on a website called The Post-Millennial. If you haven't heard of it, it's a relatively new website, but it's starting to make some very serious and concerning inroads among pro-Trump media figures and among circles online that are considered more broadly right-wing and far right-wing.
So what does it say? Where did it come from, and why should we care?
Yeah, the Post-Millennial was founded in about 2017. It really started in earnest the next year. It was started by a couple Canadians. It's Quebec-based, and what they originally sought to do with the website was to be what they called a reasonable alternative. The guise that they put forward was that they were simply going to be a center-right publication that were publishing perspectives that they weren't seeing elsewhere in the news. And from former employees that I've talked to and from the reporting I've done, it seemed that that vision was intact, at least for some period of time. But very quickly, and especially towards the end of last year, the site started to take a hard right bent and kind of turned into a tabloid-style publication publishing rage bait for far-right audiences in the U.S. And that's important for the rest of us because when these audiences are energized, when they have a publication providing them rife targets for harassment, for outrage, social media campaigns, it can pose sort of a bigger risk in the information ecosystem. Having misleading or sometimes just outright false information circulating online and being used to motivate people to try to, cause some kind of stir or push for some kind of influence in broader politics is a seriously troubling development.
So what provoked this change, Jared? Did a massive cash infusion from some right-wing billionaire or from some other country come along, or do we not know?
So some of this I should be able to offer some insight in, some additional reporting that's coming along the way. But for now, I'll explain it this way. So the Matthew Azarelli is the guy who founded the site, who is the CEO of the site. He comes from an extremely wealthy Canadian family. He's the son of a real estate mogul, billionaire. So he's very independently wealthy, and whether it is through the outlet or through his family's connections, has been able to use this outlet to connect with various members of Canadian government who have written op-eds there, that sort of thing. Where it seemed to take a really hard right turn was with the addition of Andy Ngo, who is a sort of right-wing social media propagandist of sorts. His addition in the later half of 2019 seemed to mark a sort of shift, a stark shift in the tone of the website's coverage. Suddenly, the website was a big source of kind of, for lack of better word, scare porn about anti-fascist demonstrators, about Black Lives Matter protesters, and a host of other issues, including trans rights advocacy and public schooling, for one. So it seemed really towards the later half of 2019 is when we saw these tendencies that had been expressed in the outlet from time and time again become very commonplace in the publication's editorial stance.
Judd Legum, who's been on this program many times, publishes a newsletter called popular.info. And he has been documenting the right-wing ecosystem or infrastructure that is symbiotic with Facebook, that has interpenetrated Facebook, where somebody will post something outrageous on Facebook, it links to one of these right-wing websites. The right-wing websites, profit from that. In some cases, they link back to other parts of Facebook. And they're all, he had like dozens of different ones that were all basically owned by three people. And they were just making literally millions of dollars off these kind of Trump follower types, enthusiastically clicking and sharing stuff that was, things wildly taken out of context or just plain old flat out false. Is this website become one of those kinds of things? Is it part of one of these kind of scams, or is this just, a rich guy's toy that he himself, being a billionaire, obviously your interests are with screwing working people and keeping taxes low and enhancing your own wealth. I mean, maybe this worldview is one that just resonates with him.
That's certainly one option. It could certainly be that the type of things that are being published on the Post-Millennial and circulated among American audiences just aligned with his interest as a ultra-wealthy member of society, or Canadian society, I should say. As far as the Facebook connection, there was some reporting, I believe it was in BuzzFeed originally, that a staff member of the Post-Millennial had been operating one of the types of Facebook pages or network of Facebook pages like Judd Legum has done so much great reporting on. It was revealed that there was sort of a cluster of different Facebook pages, political discussion pages that were linking to post-millennial content and attempting to boost conservative politicians in Canada. That person no longer works for the outlet. It is still unclear how much the editorial and ownership of the Post-Millennial was aware of that activity, or if the publication is still engaging in similar practices today.
Yeah. Is this, I realize you're an investigative journalist of the Right Wing Watch, as opposed to just, checking out one newspaper. There is now abroad, it used to be just Drudge Report, and Drudge Report was never quite that toxic. But now there's this whole ecosystem of these hard right-wing sites. In the little less than a minute we have left, Jared Holt, how does this fit into the larger right-wing ecosystem?
So the broader right-wing ecosystem has been producing over the last 4 years a series of its own sort of Trump-era publications. They believe that the typical bastions of conservative media like Drudge Report, National Review, Fox News are failing to represent the ideas of the further right constituents of the Trump base, to be totally frank. The Post-Millennial fits into a pattern of Canadian outlets like Rebel Media who have sought to get in that niche and drive some profit or, potentially drive some influence towards the election.